Okay, hello there everyone. My name is Savani. I am a programmer with a couple of decades of experience. I also am not particularly experienced with using tools like OBS Studio or doing streaming, but I am wanting to start sharing some of my programming experiences. Tonight we're going to go through bootstrapping up a Tauri project. Tauri is an application framework that is an up-and-coming competitor to Electron. It will basically allow you to do JavaScript or TypeScript applications in the front end and do have a Rust core and have all of that really already built in and linked together. My interest in it comes from, first of all, I do a lot of Electron development at work. And I've just decided that between that and having done a lot of programming with GTK, that it's honestly a lot easier to build web applications and things like React applications in particular. So I'm going to try doing this. This is going to lead into a project that I'm going to be working on for the next several months that are really related to building some tools for a role-playing game that I run. And I'm going to want to be able to compile this application, run it on Linux, but also be able to give compiled versions to all of my players who are macOS users. I am also going to turn my volume down because it seems that perhaps I am, I was hitting the red zone in my little microphone meter. Anyway, Tauri application. So that's about Tauri. I'm going to be developing on a NixOS machine. If you don't know about it, NixOS is a particular distribution of Linux which emphasizes reproducibility to an extreme level, but also something that I really like is that it emphasizes almost hermetic environments, and I'll demonstrate to you a bit about how that works in a few minutes. Actually, no, I will start that right now. I am expecting this stream to last until about 10 o'clock, so about an hour. If we get through the bootstrapping process pretty quickly, then we may flip over to the actual application that I'm working on, where I'm just a little bit further along than I am right here. So getting started, a little bit about NixOS. You can already see a little bit of what's going on here. There's interesting paths. Basically, well, let's actually go back into that project. Basically, we figure out Rust is going to be one of my primary tools. So if you look at where Rust is installed, it's installed into this interesting hashed path that has a huge amount of detail. This hash is actually the result of not just the source Rust file that was used for generating the package, but also all of the instructions for building and installing the package. Not going to go into any of the details on that, but one of the things that makes NixOS a little bit quirky and sometimes hard to work with is if we just look at the executable, Nix can't run normally bundled executables. We almost always have to rewrite the library paths. We even have to rewrite the path to LD, because the normal path in user bin doesn't exist on a NixOS machine, which does mean that I can have any number of versions of glibc installed and no risk at all of any of them conflicting with one another. Anyway, we are going to go into a pristine directory. Nothing here to begin with. First of all, first thing that I want to do is to set up the environment. And this is where things are hardest. In this directory, in this environment, I don't have Rust, I don't have npm, node, just none of that stuff exists here. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually to set up the environment. And that starts out, I use direnv for all of my environments. So we'll do that. Direnv allow. This is going to complain at me. Even if I type the command correctly, it will complain at me. Yeah, it's doing a bunch of searching. It doesn't know where to find anything. Just stop. Don't do that anymore. Oh dear. Let's see if I can get another terminal and kill that. There we go. Basically, it's looking for a file called flake.nix, and that file doesn't exist yet. And so it was, I'm not quite sure what it was doing, but let's just start fixing the whole problem. Okay, a nix flake. This file is a description of it will be a description of the development environment. In theory, I can pass this file off to anybody who has not NixOS, but like Nix the package manager installed, and they will immediately be able to get a Nix environment or get a fully working development environment. My ambition is that any Linux user who's willing to run Nix would be able to clone my repository, CD into it, and basically just type make and have everything start working. I'm going to skip over a lot of this pretty quickly because otherwise this can get real boring. Obviously, I'm not doing this from memory. I'm actually copying it from another window. Okay, now having imported all of the various repositories that I'm going to pull from, I am going to now declare exactly what dependencies I want. Let's see here. We're going to start out with Oops, this is a list, not a set. I'm going to start out with Rust. It's a pretty obvious one. Let's see here. What else do I grab? We're going to need Node. We need the Tauri tools in order to bootstrap that stage. Save that. Go to another terminal. Yep, mistyped something. And, oh, yep. And I mistyped GitHub. Cannot find the flake in the flake registries. Maybe I should have just pasted this file in advance. There we go. No, not quite. Not quite. Oh. This is a weird quirk with Nix flakes. I don't know why it doesn't just create that. Okay, great. Great. Okay, I've got all of the tools here. Right, one more tool. So I'm going to do a React application. React and TypeScript, actually. So that means going through a couple of compile stages, a bundling stage. I don't like Webpack at all. So instead, I am going to use a newer bundler called Vite, which I only discovered recently. So I'll go ahead and add that to my dependencies and just hit enter. It's going to get incorporated. Cool. Okay. When I did this a few days ago, what I discovered is that it seems best to first bootstrap up a basic React application and then to bootstrap up the Tauri portion. So we'll start out with the React app. Nope. npm install. Is this right? No. npm run? Maybe? Nope. Got to go look that up. Guide. Quick start. Getting started. Come back to that npm create. Oh, it's actually asking me to do something. And I'm going to just select a React application, but obviously Vite comes with a whole bunch of different templates. React is actually the only framework that I know for JavaScript applications, and the pre-built template that Vite provides is pretty straightforward. I didn't really, in inspecting it, I didn't see any weird complications. So let's do that. I do TypeScript, but feel free to do JavaScript if that's your preference. And let's try again. Do I want to? No. Let's go in there. Okay, so TypeScript isn't available yet, so here's where we go into the npm work. And this is where maybe a little bit of the flake reproducibility, or not reproducibility, but the ability for a flake to be like instantly ready to go, you just type make and everything works, doesn't quite match, because it looks like I'm going to need to do just an npm install to get things going. Okay, npm run. Actually, yeah, we're going to do an npm run dev. Eventually, I'll type the right commands. Okay. Now, just a quick check here to make sure that things are right. Cool. Default application, React app. Click on things, do whatever. Awesome. Vite is pretty cool in that it seems that anytime that you make a change to the source files, it'll do an instant reload. There's no real work with getting that set up. Additionally, like, all of the TypeScript configurations are set up. Like, a lot of default stuff that's just ready to go. So now we will transition from the Vite setup to the, not the Vite setup, the React setup to getting Tauri working. So I installed the cargo Tauri command, although more traditional Rust developers would probably do like cargo install Tauri and then follow it up right after that with like cargo Tauri whatever. I'm not going to. Just going to do this. What do I need to do? I need to init the app name. Again, Tauri Bootstrap, window title, whatever, Bootstrap. Okay, the web assets are going to be relative to, okay, this question, starting with the current directory that I'm in, the tool is going to create a source-Tauri directory, which is going to contain all of the Rust code, and then there's going to be a configuration file right there. And what this is asking me for is where can it find the results of building the web application or the user interface. And I think I know what it is. Yeah, Vite didn't actually do that. Okay, open another window here. And if I reload, we get the dist directory. So I kind of suspected that would be it, but I wasn't sure. Oh, this actually is not going to work at all. Hold up. Stopping. This probably is not important, so I'll leave that alone. Now I'm going to run the Tauri command again. So compared to that particular path, it's going to be up one level, UI dist. And the URL of the dev server is this thing right here. Okay. And that gives me the Rust files. Now I have to remember what the next step was. I have kind of forgotten. Oh, I think, actually, it's really just going to be... Is it really just cargo run? I think it might be. Just going to check some of my reference material here. Okay, so there are some missing dependencies. I'll need to add those. Looks like I need pkg config, right? Don't I? Yeah, I do. And I'll need OpenSSL. So for that, since those are system dependencies, I'll go back to the flake and do that and that. And I'm going to sort things just for good measure and try again. Although I did look at the other project that I bootstrapped, and this isn't actually quite the right command, but it'll get us pretty far. Oh, oops. Whenever you change a flake file, always, if you're using durenv, always be sure to hit enter a time or two so you load the new environment. Okay, that gets us further. We're missing libdbus. Is it dbus? Libdbus. I forget. I always forget that. Looks like it's just dbus. So I watch a lot of people who play Minecraft who are really good at it, have been doing it for years. And even the more technical ones are like, yeah, never going to do redstone actually on camera because that's when everything goes wrong and I lose the ability to think. And, you know, you're seeing a little bit of the same thing. Okay, GObject is harder. I'm going to reference some of my other material. How do I get GObject? Oh, I need GTK3. Right. That should have been obvious to me. In fact, there's a couple of other things that I think I just straight up need, so I'm going to include them as well. And I don't know if I'm going to need WebKit GTK, but I'll grab it. Save all of that, reload the environment. Like, I don't know if the video is getting particularly choppy. I'm seeing comments in OBS about like overrunning the encoder, which I guess isn't all that surprising. Rust is not exactly a cheap compiler. Yep. WebKit was definitely necessary. See it right there. Oh, wow. This is definitely taking a while. GTK is one of the most costly libraries to build for a front-end application. But soon it will be done. And fingers crossed, I probably won't need to rebuild it at any point. At least that's my hope. Okay, I'm actually going to give my system a bit of a break. This portion is kind of boring, so I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes, not sure how long, and I'll come back when the compile is done. Alrighty, we're back. I'll get the hang of this whole streaming thing presently. That is, I don't know, maybe next time that I think I'm going to have a big build, I will just cut over to the compiling one. But let's go ahead and actually run this, because here we go. The application's up. This is exactly the same application that was running in the web browser. And yeah, that's it so far. So at that point, you might be saying, okay, great, what's that really good for? And we'll come back over to Tauri. The whole point of doing this is to build a web application that also has all of the advantage of a native application. So let's jump in and let's just do something super simple. And this is the part where it's like I haven't actually gone in and done more work. So I'm going to be learning as we go here. First of all, reload the environment so I can get Rust Analyzer. Why is that taking so long? What's going on here? Okay, now it's ready. We'll come back in. We'll go to the core application, and let's just find out a little bit about the API. Development. Nope. Debugging, testing, building. Oh. Let's see. What I am looking for is Tauri supports several different development models. Some of them don't involve doing any Rust development at all. This ends up being, like, just this block of code right here ends up being all of the Rust code you end up with. But what I'm interested in is the development model where there are a lot of Rust functions that you can call from the user interface. And I can't remember how to do that. So I am just digging through the guides trying to find that. I don't think this is going to... Ooh. Yeah, no, I don't think this is it. References, Tauri architecture, configuration files. I think this is for people who are developing on Tauri itself. Let's go over to the TypeScript code, or the JavaScript. Wow, yeah, I've gotten lost. Probably should have found this before my stream. If I can't find it pretty quickly, then we're just going to leave it at that. We'll do a quick tour of the React code that gets generated here, and we will save doing the Rust integration for a future stream. So updating dependencies, debugging, testing. as is so often the case, going to Google, calling Rust from the front end. Oh, okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to follow just the bare basics right here. I am going to leave that portion of code alone. Jump down. Wait, hang on. Think about this for a moment. Config adder fits not debug assertions. I think that this applies to the entire file. So I think it's perfectly fine to go ahead and add some things here. So I'm going to do Tauri command, which is how we declare a function, which is just a big macro that the compiler will run to actually generate the FFI bindings. And we're just going to follow exactly what we got right here. Save that. Let's add it to right here. Okay. Now we're going to go up into the TypeScript code. Go over to the UI. Not index. We're going to go to source. This is a pretty standard React application. So I think I'm just going to call it from... yeah, I'll call it from main. So let's see here. Import invoke from Tauri apps API Tauri. There we go. I haven't imported that yet, so I'll have to go back to do that. Const invoke equals window dot invoke. And then it doesn't really matter where exactly I call this for our purposes, but we'll do it right here. Okay, now back over to here, where I need to update the package.json. Actually, no, what I want to do, npm install save Tauri apps API. Might need all of that. No, I should go look. Oh, features section. I never would have guessed that. Let's see here. Quick start. npm create Tauri app. Oh, and then right here, all of this stuff again. We're just going to go directly to npm, find out what exactly we're looking for here. Maybe it's just Tauri apps API. There we go. Cargo run. We'll see what happens. Things could fail. Oh, wow. It did not make the invocation at all? Okay. I don't know why that failed. I do know that another thing that I have tried is to come over here and in the oh, I bet it has to do with this line right here. Let's see here. So I have in my other project npm run dev. Let's see if that gives it enough information. Because what it should do now is it should call that invocation, and the fact that nothing appeared on the in the terminal right here indicates to me that it didn't recompile the TypeScript code. I'm hoping that having added this, it will. No, still no good. Okay. Let's try it differently then. npx Tauri dev. Yeah. Sit back for just a moment and drink some tea. This is a fun little warning down here. Deprecated package, or alpha package, or something. What? It is installed. What are you talking about? Okay, I'm going to run one more test. Cargo run. Actually, let's be more fun. Cargo watch -x run. Okay. Now I will go into the app.tsx. Sure, why not? Let's just remove some stuff. Make it random. Yeah, that's no good. So I somehow missed something in the environment that will cause UI rebuilds. I'm not sure what it is. I'm looking at another of my projects to see if I can figure out how I was doing it there. Although it's also possible that I didn't actually have it working over here yet. Okay. Little bit better. Before dev command npm run dev. Okay, so in this... Oh. Wait a second. I'm in the wrong directory. That's no good. Yep, I'm in the wrong directory. rm package.json. rm package lock.json. That's a fun one. Okay, let's try again. npm install save. npm install. There we go. And that should get this up. Okay, cool. Now npx Tauri dev. Maybe? No. Couldn't recognize the current folder as a Tauri project. Must contain a tauri.conf.json. Interesting. In any subfolder. That's the key part. Okay. Okay, well. Okay, not bad. There is going to be a problem. UI, it's going to be in this file where it's going to look for the wrong path. Let's stop, try again. Okay, so it has the Vite dev server running. This is going to serve up, or like automatically rebuild and serve up all of the web assets. And now it's actually running cargo to get the backend compiled and loaded. Come on. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Awesome. Sort of. Duplicate declaration of invoke. Probably because I should have read the instructions more carefully. Because yes, now that I see that, that is obvious. Let's go back to app.tsx. No, main.tsx. There we go. I was invoked from TypeScript. There's some of those icons gone. Cool. We're now actually working. Only barely. We're really limping along here. But I think that's probably a pretty good place to stop. There's a couple of things that I want to review for just a moment because honestly, I got them wrong at the beginning of the stream. So let's see here. Grab my notebook. So we set up a flake. We installed Vite. We bootstrapped. We bootstrapped the React application. We bootstrapped the Tauri Rust core. And we didn't get to any of these additional things. They would be really cool. I'll do them in a future week. So some of the notes here. Let's see. What are some good things? Once the bootstrap the React application first. Bootstrap the Tauri Rust core from within the React application directory. So for instance, let's come back over here and I don't know, maybe wrong. There we go. Maybe I'll just record another video, not as a live stream, where I like completely redo that process, only this time I do it without as many mistakes. Wow, okay. My dev environment takes a very long time to load when I'm doing a live stream. Sorry about that. Probably makes things a bit boring. Anyway, continuing with these notes while that runs. Basically, let's see here. From project, we want to do npm. I think it was right. npm create Vite latest, and then maybe npm Vite latest dot. That won't always work. If there are any files in the directory, Vite will just completely refuse to do anything. So let's just be clear and do UI. So from within project UI, here you'll do cargo dash Tauri init. And so that's important. The final directory structure that you're going to want is going to be from your project directory. You'll want the UI, and then you're going to want project UI, which contains also the source, which is all of your JavaScript or this is all of your JavaScript, TypeScript, React, whatever. And you'll want project UI src Tauri, which is all of the Rust core code. And you'll want to be running the Tauri command directly from this directory. So project UI npx, just for good measure, npx install at Tauri apps /CLI with a save dev, and npm install npx Tauri dev. There's still going to be a couple of things that you have to adjust to get everything working. For instance, you will need to set up the dev path correctly, the dist-dir, although not until you actually want to do a build. And then you'll need to set up both of these, the before build command and the before dev command, here in the tauri.conf file. So there you go. That's largely how you do this. Like I said, in future weeks, I will take you through a bit more of it, a bit more of actually building an application. One thing that I did 6 months ago, the first time I tried doing this, was I did your standard Mandelbrot generation. I did all of the generation inside of Rust. I exported it up to I exported the resulting image into Tauri. I probably did it in a clunky way. So that one is actually a really good example for why you would want to do this polyglot architecture, so that you can get all of the calculation performance from Rust, but still make it relatively easy and familiar to do your front end. So I'll probably do that in a future week. Next week, however, since we are going into Advent of Code, I do Advent of Code entirely in Rust. In fact, let's just bring it up here. Here we go, Advent of Code. Doesn't unlock yet, but so next Saturday night, I'm going to show you the setup that I use for doing Advent of Code, but doing it in Rust and just minimizing the boilerplate that I have to use every time that or every night, because like there's certain patterns that they follow, or there are certain patterns of loading the data and outputting the data that every single one of the challenges follows. And so I just have a pretty straightforward framework for how to avoid needing to reproduce that every single time. So that'll be next week. If you've watched this, thank you. Please leave comments on anything that you liked, or any improvements that you can see me making. And I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed it. That is it for tonight. Thank you for coming.